All righty, you guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate everybody for being able to tune in with us. I am super excited for today's episode because with everything going on, especially, obviously with COVID, a lot of businesses, a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs have had to pivot. Right? They've had to pivot. They've had to transition. They've had to learn new things. They've had to rebrand. So many things have transpired since earlier this year. And so I'm really excited because when I first started Women Crush Wednesday, again, I started in Sacramento. I just wanted to highlight women entrepreneurs in the area, right? And so one of the ladies, literally my second woman that I interviewed, we met. I was able to hear about all the amazing things that she had going on and all her hopes for this upcoming year. And then a lot of things, were put to a halt for a lot of people. And so she's back with us, and she has been able to do some amazing things. And we're Facebook friends, we support one another. And so just seeing all the things that have transpired with I don't know what y'all know what word I'm trying to say. Transpired, right? With her over these last few months, it's definitely something worth sharing. And so, Mersy, are you there?
Hello, Natisha. I am here. Hi, everybody tuning in.
Man, this is so crazy. I mean, it seems like I just interviewed you.
I know, and yet, here I am. You interviewed me as Mercedes Hogan, and here I am as Mersy Hogan. And
so much to talk about. So let's see, where shall we begin? Let's just, for everybody new tuning in to you, who doesn't know who you are, why don't you just give us a little intro, introduce us to who Mersy Hogan is.
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Mercedes Hogan. I go by Mersy Hogan. I am a plus size fit model for Levi Strauss & Co., Old Navy. I've worked for Everlane and Third Love as well as a fit model. I'm signed to MDT Agency in San Francisco. I also work 5 as a training consultant for the California District Attorneys Association, where I also serve as in a new position as the diversity project coordinator, where I manage a recruiting program for minorities to become prosecutors, because we know in the criminal justice system, it's very important to have representation on both sides of the courtroom. But in addition to that, I am a blogger and influencer, and I talk about fashion and confidence. And I started out, before I became a plus size model, I am still a thrifter. And so that was my very first business that I started, which was called Thrift Store Fly, which is still active, where I just taught plus size women and women of all sizes how to thrift and shop on trend and dress on trend without breaking the bank. So that's a little bit of my background.
Yes, and that is how, we had first came about. Was I interviewed you about Thrift Store Fly. And so
right.
I'm just so excited for everybody to hear just all the new things that you have going on. So let's take it a step back a little bit. I definitely want to kind of go over, your journey overall. You model. Now, how did the modeling come about? Was this something that you were always passionate about? Was it just like a random thing that happened? How did it start for you?
Yes, so it definitely was something that I was always passionate about. Ever since I was younger, I've always liked to dress a little bit different, bright colors, dress up in my mom's clothes. Me walking to school, like the sidewalk, the streets, wherever, were always my runway, like in my head. And when Takara Jones was on America's Next Top Model, that was the first time that I ever seen a Black woman plus size represent. Well, that was actually the first plus size representation. She just so happened to also be a Black woman on that big of a scale. And I was like, I want to do that. Like Takara Jones is on America's Next Top Model. She's killing it. And I was just absolutely inspired. I was like in my first or second year of college at the time, and I had really not, invested, into modeling when I was younger. It was always an idea, but I thought that I had to live in Los Angeles, or we didn't have Instagram and, Facebook and social media and things of that sort. So like your parents, had to physically, take you to things and things of that sort. So I'd be like, let me just focus on this political science degree and, climbing this corporate ladder, although I was always interested in doing something in fashion. And when I would see magazines and things at the time when I was like a preteen in my teens, I would never see anyone that was 13 and curvy like me. And it was always also majority white models and thin models. And I was subscribed to Delia's and 17 magazine and, all the little teeny bopper things of that sort. And I like to dress. And I was like, why does anyone look like me? And so fast forward to me ending up in Atlanta, Georgia, after college. Full Figure Fashion Week was founded, and it was one of the biggest fashion shows in the nation, created for the curvy girls. And so I went to my first edition and I didn't get selected. And so I felt like absolutely defeated. I felt like maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe I didn't have, the right look. And so I just went back, to my job and really didn't entertain it at all. But the thing about telling your dreams to your friends and having supportive friends that believe in you, like they did not allow me to let the dream die. Mm-hmm. So every time I would be like posting like my little bathroom selfies, at the time they're like, you really should model, you really should model, you really should model, you really should model, you really should model. And I got tired of them saying like you really should model. So I was like, okay, I'm going to actually pursue it. And so just off of a whim, I started researching like different things for me to be seen. At this time, Instagram is booming. I was working a job, but I think I had just got like laid off from a position, and then I just came out of crossroads, and I asked myself a question like, Mercedes, what would you do if fear was not a factor? And I was like, well, if fear wasn't a factor, I would be plus size modeling. Like I would be, pursuing that 110% instead of trying to climb these corporate ladders with microaggressions and, that seem to have like an attack on Black women, which would be like another session, another topic to talk about. But so I submitted for a pageant, the Miss California Plus America pageant, which there is a plus size pageant out there for anyone who's interested in pageantry. I was like, this will be a great way for me to, get on a runway, have a platform, do community service, which I love to do. And once I got into that pageant, I had to take professional photos for, they had a separate competition within the pageant, which was the Cover Girl competition. And once I took those headshots for that, that Cover Girl competition, shout out to Deb if you need a photographer in Sacramento. Deb is like super bomb.
Hey, Deb.
Yes, yeah, Deb, DEV. If you can find like a Deb photography. But anywho, once I posted those on Instagram, like that picture gained a lot of traction. And then I started just like being more creative with my social media to let more people know that, hey, like I'm interested in modeling. And by doing that, friends near and far, by this time I had moved back, to California, and friends near and far were like tagging me in auditions. And one of my high school friends, shout out to Tiffany, thank you so much. She tagged me in the Bay Area Plus fashion show and expo, which was my very first fashion show that I walked in 2018. So in the spring of 2018, April 2018, I won first runner up at the Miss California Plus America pageant. that fall, I walked in my first fashion show, and at that fashion show is where I was discovered by MDT agency. And that was in October. And then that November, I was faced with like one of the biggest challenges in my life.
Which was what?
Which was, so during that period, I told you I had transitioned from another corporate job. So I was like out of work while I was like, pursuing modeling.
Okay.
And I received my dream job, which I'm in now as a training consultant for this association. And literally 3 days after my start date, I get an email from NDT agency saying, "Can you go for a go-see to Levi Strauss & Co.?" And so for people who don't know what a go-see is, that's when you drive to the designer or, to the corporation, and they take your measurements and they look at your look to see if you're a good fit, to hire you. And I had just literally started this dream job in my corporate world 3 days before I get the email. So, and I don't know anyone at this company. It wasn't like, like I knew my director or I knew someone who got me in. Like, these is like brand new staff, brand new everything. So I'm literally like in my office, like looking at this email, like sweating bullets, like what am I going to do? Because my 9 to 5 is still my bread and butter, but this is Levi Strauss & Co. So
Right.
literally, I believe like my go-see date was on November 4th. I started my first day November 1, 2018, and November 3rd, 2018, I built up enough courage to go into my director's office, whom I don't know, and say, "Hey, like, please know that this job is my priority, but I have an offer of a lifetime and I need to request November 4th off, to go to San Francisco." And I'm so thankful for my director, and I don't want to get emotional, but every time I tell someone this story, her response was, "Mercedes, this is your job. This is not your life."
I love
And
it.
I've worked in like so many different industries and had so many different managers. And this was the first time where I ever had management who was like, "This is your job. This is not your life." Like all of my previous careers, it was always like, this has to be priority. This has to come first. And so then we had a more in-depth discussion, like how it would work with me working, my corporate job and modeling. And, she was super, excited for me. I mean, God's favor was all over that situation because she ended up really being into fashion stuff as well. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, God
Lucky.
all over that. And I went to the Go See, and Levi Strauss & Co. hired me. So they were my very first client. And I still work for them now 2 years later.
I love it. I mean, you said a mouthful for sure. There's so many nuggets, in there. The one takeaway just from the beginning of your story that I really received is you have to speak the desires of your heart. Like, and then you also have to share it, because your friend did not let up on you.
So they
said, "Sis."
it became slightly annoying, but I'm glad that they annoyed me because, it pushed me. I was like, okay, I should at least try again,
Yes, absolutely. And then really just putting yourself out there, that just takes so much courage and so much confidence. And kind of the theme that I know we're probably going to be headed, I can kind of see is really just confidence and courage. And so were you always a confident person? Because you're one of honestly the most confident individuals that I personally know. And I love it. And so, like, were you always this confident? Was this just something that you kind of grew into, or kind of where did it come from?
I will say yes and no. So, as as a child, you know, I was always told by my elders that I was big bone. So I've always been, you know, kind of on the thicker, you know, chubbier side, developed before, you know, everybody else. And so, again, I always give so much credit to my parents because it's true. I remember like early as 4 or 5 years old, like my mother and my father telling me, like, it's not about what's on the outside, beauty will fade. What's important is about what's on the inside. And that's how people will remember you. Like everything that's on the outside, like that's always going to go away. So I just really embodied that information like as I grew up and I navigated through life. I definitely was bullied. Like I remember in the fourth grade, this guy named Philip used to call me Earthquake. And like I remember again immediately just turning a negative into a positive. And I was like, okay, you know, wrestling was big at the time. I was like, well, if I ever become a wrestler, then Earthquake is going to be my wrestling name. Like everybody just call me Earthquake because that's like my wrestling. I thought it was like the coolest wrestling name ever. So again, I think that my confidence started with at home with good parenting, like explaining to me about what self-esteem is. So self-esteem, having high self-esteem was like my first recollection of confidence. You know, confidence wasn't really such as a big mainstream
Yeah.
theme as it is right now. It was like making sure you have high self-esteem. And then, of course, then, you know, the late 80s, early 90s, where, you know, where I grew up in other environments, you know, I grew up in the hood. So I was around a lot of violence, a lot of gang violence, a lot of teen pregnancies, you know, go on down the list. And so I always equated low self-esteem with being a gateway to end up out in the streets or into, you know, riffraff, as our elders, you know, called it. And I didn't want, I didn't want that trap for myself, you know. So I always looked whether it was, you know, inspiration from like a world or the Cosby Show or Family Matters or you know, shows like In Living Color and Mad TV. Like I was always kind of like creating my own bubble to create and then use my fashion for expression to remain positive and have a positive spirit and a positive mind. And whenever I felt less than, it may sound a little bit vain, but my mom would say, like, there's always someone that looks worse than you. Like, there will always be someone that looks better than you. So know that. And there will always be someone that's worse off. So, and that's just facts. So
That is a fact. And you know, you also touched on something, kind of just putting yourself in that bubble. Sometimes we kind of just have to, I equate it to protecting our peace. How, you know, we kind of say that now, like you have to make sure that you protect you, your feelings, your energy at all costs. And so if that's, you know, watching television, kind of making up this fantasy life for yourself, and that's what you have to do to kind of, you know, not so much tap into reality, but create your own reality. And so I really love that. Now, when we got connected in January, which seems literally like forever ago, but it was literally like
was it not recent? It
yeah,
seems like it was like 2 years ago.
10 months have gone by, guys. 10 months. That is crazy. Now, so we got connected in January. You know, you had a lot of high hopes for the year. Tell us just kind of how the beginning of your year started. And then, yeah, tell us just how your year started.
Well, the beginning of the year started amazing. I was volunteering as the outreach coordinator for the Women's March, which is how Natisha and I first met because I posted to the Sacramento Sisters Circle Facebook group about meetings that we were having. We were having a huge campaign on trying to get Black women back involved with our local Women's March. And I decided to volunteer on the board because I wanted to work from the inside out to see, well, why is the Women's March Sacramento not for Black women? You know, like what's going on up in here and how can I help them? that was the current project that I was working on. It went amazingly well with the role that, that I played, had a great turnout. And so for me personally, I was just kind of like on the hype of my theme for the year was Level Up 2020. And this is a thing about me, and I hope that you will take it and apply it to your life. Every year, I don't make New Year's resolutions. I make New Year themes. And I started thinking about my themes like around September, October, and I have my theme for next year already, which I will share here first with you guys.
Oh, yes. I love your themes. Okay, can you take us, can you share a few of your past themes as well as 2020?
Yeah, so I'll try to remember back as far as I can. So 2017 was no fear zone. And so by then, like hashtags were out. So whenever I would make a post on Instagram or Facebook that I felt was related to, not having fear and just going for it, I would tag, hashtag no fear zone 2017. So then 2018 I watched a great interview with Will Smith where he was talking about him not being like the greatest comedian or actor out there, but he would never be outworked. And that just resonated with me so well. It was like, okay, I know I may not be the prettiest or the tallest or the thinnest or, the curviest with the flattest stomach model, but I don't want to be outworked. And I was still kind of on my hype of, being seen and getting known in the modeling industry. So 2018, it was hashtag I will not be outworked in 2018, like literally, like hashtag I will not be outworked.
I love it.
You guys can like search this on Facebook and see, those posts from previous years, which shout out to my soror, Crystal Franklin, who works as a producer. And she like inspired me to start creating hashtags, to look back at things, because social media is kind of like a diary. So if you create these personal hashtags, you can look back on it at any time and it kind of groups everything together.
Oh, I never thought about that. Yes, that's a good one.
So moving on to 2019, which is the year that I actually got signed to the modeling agency, but the theme I created like that previous December was monetizing my talents and gifts in 2018. So I went from no fear zone to I will not be outworked to monetizing my talents and gifts. And what happened in 2019, I was able to use my talent and my gifts for modeling, to become signed. And so it's kind of like a little manifestation clause, I guess you can.
Yes.
And I know for at least the past 3 years, it's definitely come to fruition to have like that reminder about what is your goal for this year overall. And so now I'm 2 years in the game. And so my moving on to this year was Level Up 2020, which we'll get back to dive in about how that went since January till now and the pandemic. But for next year, for 2021, it's Successful Habits in 2021.
Now, you said you heard Will Smith. That kind of was your stem for one of your years. What kind of was your basis for creating that hashtag for next year?
Okay, so believe it or not, Successful Habits came from a fortune cookie. Like if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook for any amount of time, or if you're a new follower, you will find out that I believe in fortunes, not really like, like telling my life, but I remember Oprah saying that like there's nothing by coincidence. So if that's true, if nothing is by coincidence, the fortune that you get in that fortune cookie is like meant for you for something.
Yeah, I love it.
Maybe I can count on one hand, like maybe 3 fingers, like I got a fortune. I was like, this maybe was for you, not for me. But majority of the time, It is always for me. And this one that I received years ago, it says that if you practice the habits of success, you will make success a habit.
Yep, I totally agree.
And right now, at the point I am in my career and in my modeling career, it's time for me to still continue to up the ante, but doing that by having more successful habits, because no one ever gets to the point of where they outgrow growth.
Right. Now,
So,
go ahead, sorry.
oh yeah, so I'm leaving myself open to make sure that I'm doing my part to develop the best habits possible to continue success and open up for more success. So that's what it came.
Now, are there going to be any resources or tools that you're utilizing to figure out what are successful habits, or they're just going to be like healthy habits that you've been trying to create for yourself?
Yeah, it will be a mixture. I mean, a lot of the habits I've learned this year and I've observed this year, like going back from January and then into February, COVID hitting. I was very eager to expand my modeling portfolio and go to more auditions and things in person, and then everything kind of just stopped. And when that stopped, it put me in a place of like self-evaluating, like what was I really giving my time to. And I realized that I was still designating a lot of my time and energy to other people and their projects, and I really wasn't giving 110% on what I wanted to accomplish for myself. I thought I was, but I really wasn't, and I didn't know that until everything was shut down and I couldn't go
Right.
anywhere. And I was like, oh, I should be at this meeting, or I should be at this fundraiser, or I should be at this vending event, or I should be supporting this. And I couldn't because of COVID, right? And I was like, well, if I'm not going here and there, or when I was going here and there, what was I doing for myself? So I wasn't doing the reading, for the successful habits. I wasn't, watching or listening to the podcast, or I wasn't reading the book because I was too busy ripping and running.
Wow. Wow. That's something to marinate in, like to sit in, because I've actually gone through that same thing, especially because we're such supportive people by nature. And so you find yourself, like you said, you're at this event, that event, this event, that event. I mean, 9 to 7 p.m. And then it's like, well, what exactly have I done for myself? What areas have I grown in today? And you sit back and it's like, I haven't grown at all. And it's discouraging. And it's one of those things where it's like, I gotta work on me. Like I gotta work on
Mm-hmm.
me. And so definitely, yeah, like when parts of my morning routine are if I'm not able to fit everything in, I feel like my day is discombobulated, because I got to make sure that I'm getting my readings in, that I'm getting in the word, that I'm listening to personal development. And it's just like we get so caught up in the busy, and then when those
Mm-hmm.
things start to go, it's like, even for
Mm-hmm.
me personally, like trying to get adjusted to this Atlanta time, like the time out here again, I've been, been missing days, been getting into the word, because I'm like, I got all these meetings scheduled and I'm like, oh my
Hustling.
God,
Mm-hmm.
I got to get back to, like, I was on a streak and now I'm like just all over the place. So like I can relate to that wholeheartedly, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you kind of just got to take a step back and make sure that you're good before you go messing with anybody else.
Exactly. And so I even titled it. So I created a word for what you and I are talking about right now. And that word, or that phrase, is called a self audit. So
Okay.
every couple of months, or however often you want, do a self evaluation, or what I call a self audit, where you identify your needs and your wants and be realistic with yourself. What have you done to work towards those needs and those wants? And so you have these little check ins to make sure you're not stretching yourself too thin and then not giving any energy back to yourself. So when I began to do this self audit, because again, remember my theme for 2020 was level up 2020, right? And I came to the realization that for my next level up, I needed a mentor. Like I could only do so much on my own strength, but I had to give myself grace and realize that, hey, you're still a newbie in this modeling industry. So you need a coach, or you need, a mentor. And so if you guys remember, like March came, April came, everything was shut down. People were losing their jobs, left and right, because all these companies and industries were shutting down due to COVID. And I start looking at Thrift Store Fly, and I was like, okay, well, how am I going to expand, this business? What am I going to do with it? Really, what is the vision? Because now I have this extra time on my hands because I'm working from home, but working from home, it seems like you have more time because you're just, at home.
Yeah.
Maybe I had more time because on the weekend at 5, I had nowhere else to go. So I had more time to kind of focus on Thrift Store Fly and what that looked like. And I was like getting into all the free courses, all the free things, because people were offering stuff like left and right.
Yeah.
And I was just like attending everything that was free. I was trying to be up in it, right? Because I'm all about learning and education. And so I follow all of my favorite models and influencers on Instagram, like any average person that's on social media. And Cece Olisa, who is the founder of the Curvy Girls Guide, co-founder of the Curvy Con, which is one of the biggest curvy girl plus size influencer model events in the nation that usually happens during New York Fashion Week in New York. She was doing this free webinar course to talk about like how she navigated through the industry and became like a model for Nike and for Loft. And I was like, man, let me attend it, because again, free, right? I attended the webinar. It was amazing because Cece for several years has been like my big sister in my head. And the webinar actually ended up being a funnel for a program called the Confident Creator Lab. And basically what this Confident Creator Lab was going to do was Cece herself and her partner, Jessica Lynn, who is a graphic designer, website developer extraordinaire, who has worked with like airlines and all these big other industries. We're going to be your coach to help you to build your brand. And so again, remember Level Up 2020, I'm all about, expanding my brand. At the time, I was just thinking about Thrift Store Fly, expanding Thrift Store Fly, which is all about plus size thrifting and my thrifting finds, locally and when I travel. And so lo and behold, to get into the program, there was an application. So I was like, is the application free? And so to apply to the program, it was free. And so I was just like on a whim, like, again, have extra time on my hands. Let me just fill this out to see what happened. And then I got in.
Okay now.
Right. So exciting, right? But then when I got in, it's like, oh yeah, the cost of the program is going to be $3,000.
Wow.
Now your girl ain't doing too bad because I still work the 9 to 5. But when it comes to saving, that's not my ministry. So your girl wasn't just sitting on 3K, to spend on the Confident Creator Lab. So I talked it over with my boyfriend, like, am I crazy, to do this? And he was like, man, whatever you put your mind to, like, you always do it. So you already know that you're going to do it. I don't even know why you're talking to me. I was still kind of like skeptical and I don't know. Because you know how there be other funnels and stuff out there, and they kind of be, you got to be careful.
Yes.
But and I've been watching Cece for years now, and I really was invested in her and her brand because I actually watched her go from being an anonymous blogger to who she is, right now. And so I literally called up 3 of my close friends that I went to Grambling with, which labeled ourselves the Boss Crew. And I called them on Facebook Messenger, like on video chat, and explained to them like all of the incentives of the program, which was going to give me, a full rebrand, a logo, coaching, mentorship, et cetera, et cetera. And was like, should I do it? And they were like, absolutely yes. And so once they said absolutely yes, I literally like went to my closet like that night. And the next week I had my very first virtual closet sale to raise money to get into the program. And to make
Wow.
a long story short, I raised $2,000 from
Wow.
my closet
That
just to.
that is absolutely amazing. Now you know what I do. We help people invest in the foreign exchange market, and so obviously there's a cost as well. And it's crazy to me when people just go with, oh, I don't have the money, where they just have zero lack of resourcefulness. And it's like you immediately were like, let me see what I got up in this closet that I can sell, what can I make? Like, let me find something. And I think that resourcefulness is a skill. I think it's a skill, and I think it's a skill that everybody needs to have, because if you just accept what is and don't kind of look past that and try to make more of that, you're never going to be satisfied with life. You're always going to be playing the victim. You're always going to be woe me. You're never going to make anything happen if you continue to live with that mindset. And so I commend you, because that's amazing. I mean, $2,000 just sitting in your closet, basically. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would have never thought, and I don't know what came over me. Like, I was not like on Facebook Live or anything a lot before then. Like, anyone who knows me knows that I'll take pictures for days. But when it comes to like video and recording, I mean, now I'm more comfortable. But for some reason, I used to be like so nervous. And
Yeah.
still now, I'm still a little bit like super, critical of myself when I'm on camera for a video.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely different being recorded or being live on video than just posing for a picture. So, but I don't know. It was just like, well, I I felt that I got accepted for a reason. Like they didn't accept just everybody. Like there was over 100 applicants and only 12 people were selected for the program.
Wow.
That if that wasn't a confidence boost, in itself, like when I received the email from Cece and Jessica Lynn, like I had the thriftstoreFly.com page up, which is still up now, not very active. And they had like reviewed it, looked at my pictures and looked at my content and everything. And they were like really impressed with what I had started, which was still very much kind of like a pilot. And so I was like, well, if they think that what I'm doing is interesting, I need to try everything that I can in power, to get into this program to see what it can be. And from there, after, attending the one-on-one sessions and the group sessions, and then learning more about the influencer industry, they helped me to merge Thrift Store Fly and create the Mersy Hogan brand to where now I am fashion times confidence. So I'm still talking about fashion, but when I was thrifting and when I was having my one-on-one clients with me, I found out that when I met with them, they were asking me questions about confidence more so than they were about the clothes. And so I ended up being a confidence coach while helping them find affordable clothing. And so again, by getting into this program or just finding a coach, they were able to help me mold this into one umbrella. And so basically since July of this year, I've been working on the mercyhogan.com brand. And as you guys can see, like on my Instagram, on my Facebook, everything now is Mersy Hogan.
I freaking
Amazing ride.
I mean, your logo is so cute. Oh my God. It's so you. Now,
Right. Jessica Lynn, she put like both of her feet all in that. Shout out to you, Jessica, because that logo is me to a T. Everything from
so
this job to the, I go back to like 2013 and I'm posing like this. I'm always having like the one arm or like.
It is, when I saw it, I was like, yes, yes, yes. Now, was it, because I mean, you went in with your own brand. Like, I'm sure you weren't expecting to create a whole new brand. So
No.
was it scary? Were you reluctant when you were switching over? Like, what kind of was the thought process when you were switching over, or was it like a smooth transition?
It was not a smooth transition. I was very reluctant because Thrift Store Fly was my baby. Thrift Store Fly was thought of like in 2015. I am a thrifter. Really, before this year, I could not really. Well, no, I would shop at department stores, but I would always be like on the clearance rack.
Mm-hmm.
I had never until this year, until we were kind of forced to, to shop online. I really wasn't into a lot of like fast fashion, like ordering, online all the time for things. So I love the concept of Thrift Store Fly and reaching out to the plus size community who like to thrift, to Black people who like to thrift. And that was really all that I was focused on. I wasn't looking at the broader picture of everything else that I brought value to in that experience with being a plus size model, with working with, with Old Navy and Levi, and like having the experience with these other designers. And then, just the whole essence of me, of how big I am on confidence building, and how it's really not what's on you, but it's what's in you, So I was kind of, with just being so like hyper focused on thrifting,
You were selling yourself short.
Exactly. I was selling myself short. So it took about a good 2.5 weeks for them to really like, Mercedes, like, this is the best route to go. This is where the money is at, is going this way, boo. Like, you can still do this, but this needs to be in the like literally, like this needs to be in the forefront of what you're doing, okay? Okay? Like, you can still do your thrifting, but you are a plus size model. And so that just goes back to the whole imposter syndrome thing. Like, I was already, 2 years in, but here I still am afraid to lead with me being a plus size model, because not Sonia Majors, or I'm not Alira's Cross, or I'm not, Ashley Graham, but I'm still getting these modeling checks. Right.
Take that energy.
At some point, you have to own who you are. Like, there comes a time to where you're no longer dreaming and you are living the dream.
Ooh, that's good. Wow. That
And
is
so
good.
once you get there, it's not like, oh, okay, well, I have all the confidence I need. No, you're still gonna have to maintain what you gain, and you're still going to want to grow so you can continue to get your coin, right?
Right.
And so sometimes that takes a rebranding. And it may not be like a rebranding on the scale that I did, but it may be a rebranding on a change of work environment, and, going back to school for a new skill or a certification, or moving to a different state, like,
yes.
It can come in all different forms. So I'm just thankful that after the 2.5 weeks, I finally got it in my skull, like, okay, rebranding is a good thing, and me letting go of Thrift Store Fly being the forefront of everything is okay. It's not like it's dead, it's not alive, it's not like I can't thrift anymore.
Right.
It's just leading with the Mersy Hogan brand. I'm leading with fashion times confidence, which opened up so many more avenues.
Absolutely.
So with the rebrand, I ended up doing a collaboration with Target, which Target sent me a whole bunch of free stuff for their fall clothing, which is on my Instagram at Mersy Hogan, MERSYHOGAN. So you can watch that replay on my IGTV. I also did I was on the Today Show, which is like
Yes.
I was on the Today Show, crazy, where I modeled a date night look for a virtual date night. And I have other, appearances and stuff on television and other campaigns, but those are like the biggest two that happened the last 5 months during COVID-19 pandemic.
Wow, that is so crazy. I was at we had a virtual conference with my company this weekend, and we were listening to Bob Proctor speak, personal development guru, and um he said something that I can't get out of my mind, and he was speaking about, going to the next level and um preparing yourself for that next level, and he was talking about letting go and decluttering the things that are in your life. And you can't talk about wanting to get to this next level but you're not making room for it. You got to make room for it. So like, it's like, if you want if you want a bigger space, it's like you got to take care of the space that you have now. You got to declutter the space that you have now. If you want to get to new heights, it's like you have to make room for that growth to take place. And that just spoke to me because, one, I'm semi a hoarder when it comes to clothes. And so I just always think clothes. I
Same,
always
girl, same.
I always think clothes, but I'm like, I've been saying to myself, like, I'm trying to kind of rebrand my wardrobe. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm trying to rebrand my wardrobe, I got to get rid of some of this stuff because it's taking up space. And so the same thing with
Exactly.
our life. Like, if we're trying to get to the next level, we got to declutter. We have to let go. And you had to let go of Thrift Store Fly so something else can birth out of that. And that's amazing.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't easy. And I love your clothes analogy because I am definitely a clothes hoarder myself. It's so interesting that you brought up decluttering because during quarantine, I took a whole decluttering course
How was
through.
that? I saw you post about it and I was like, I feel like I need this.
Girl, it's still a work in progress, but the skills and the bad habits that came to the forefront by going through the course about myself was very much needed and appreciated. But it's still a work in progress. But I was able to declutter and develop again more successful habits
Mhm.
to not getting to a point to where it's overwhelming.
I love that.
Amazing. And I'll be able to tell you guys more about that experience in December. So if you want to follow Tidy Revival, Carly, she is amazing. Like she definitely can resonate to us who are not comfortable having everything all over the place and gain anxiety because she used to be that person. And one day she decided to not be that person. And now she helps thousands of people just get in tip-top shape with organization. And she is so patient, so kind. Love her.
I'm
Her
definitely gonna have to look into that.
in December, I'll definitely be sharing more about my projects from downsizing from a two bedroom to a one bedroom in Midtown. So
Oh,
that was my first dilemma, and you guys can just know how that is with a person who shops like every week.
yeah. Now, speaking of upcoming projects, so that's December. I'm curious to see. Okay, so what is Mersy Hogan working on right now? Anything upcoming? I know you have a drop. I'm just curious to know what you got going on.
Yeah, so since the rebrand, you guys know that I now blog and I talk about fashion and confidence. And so I decided to start the Confidence Project because it was just on my heart and is always on my heart to remind women that it's about what's on the inside that counts. But it's hard to do that when we are on Instagram and Facebook where we're still being sold media that tells us to all look the same, you know? And so with our new Vice President elect, Kamala Harris, like I was even more inspired to launch the project now because we see what happens when women support women. And
Mhm.
now I want to remind people, women especially, to support each other when it comes to body positivity and different body types. And so that's what the Confidence Project is about in a nutshell. So
Ooh, I'm excited. I seen the clips. I was like, she getting her acting on. Like, I'm excited to see. When does it drop?
yeah, so it drops on Friday the 13th. So this Friday at 11 a.m. At Pacific Standard Time on
Okay.
Instagram. So right now the teaser is already up, and basically you will see in the teaser, you know, some acting going on, and just make sure like you go and check it out. It's a little ode, a small ode to Beyonce's song "Pretty Hurts" as well. But again, just highlighting the societal pressures that women have and what confidence really means. Like, what does it really mean to be pretty? What does it really
Um,
mean?
is this kind of like a video, kind of like a documentary? What actually is it? Or is this just something that we're gonna have to wait to see?
Well, I can tell you exactly. Well, I can share this much with you, is
Okay.
that it's going to be an ongoing project to get you thinking about what is confidence to you, because
Okay.
confidence is different from person to person. So that's what I want people, after they watch the video, that's what I want them to be thinking about. Like, what does confidence mean to you? Because we have so many other things that tell us what confidence should be, what it should look like, you know, what size it should be. And I want people to think about what it is to them and own that and be
I'm
happy with that.
excited. Y'all, all Mercy's, contact information is going to be at the end of this, but I'm telling you, I seen the teaser and I was like, this is so good. I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait till it drops. I'm just, being on this side and like, watching, some of the people that I have interviewed, like at the start of the year, again, this was just something that was on my heart, and wanting to provide women with a platform to, be able to share their stories, some of their trials, their testimonies, and then being able to see what, you guys have been able to create with, just lemons, and create all this lemonade. It's just like, wow, I love to see it. And like, it's really a blessing, and I'm really grateful because, it doesn't seem like many of us that I'm connected to have lacked, for anything in this time. And, that's just such a blessing in itself. And to see how so many of us have actually grown and have had success during this COVID time, I think it kind of just solidifies the fact that you have to work on something for yourself. Like, yes, you do have a 9 to 5, and yes, that is your bread and butter, but you're building, you're working, like you are have created a whole brand. And I'm just, I'm in awe. I'm like, it's so cool to watch because I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Yes, I love to see it. And again, I'm absolutely inspired by people like yourself who, you know, decided to take the leap. And I mean, that's goals right there. So hopefully, if I could ever work up to the point, you know, one day to where, you know, I can take the leap and, you know, just be a content creator, you know, and model full time, I would love to do that. But until then, I'm just so grateful and thankful that I'm able, you know, to do both. And if you guys want to support me, you can go on mercyhogan.com and purchase a t-shirt, because I do have Fashion Times Confidence shirts as well. I'm dropping a new line, Visibly Plus, Visibly Pretty. That will be a Black Friday promotion, a very limited hoodie that will say Visibly Plus, Visibly Pretty on it from the Mersy Hogan brand. So I'll
Oh,
have
I
lots
love
of
it.
I have giveaways. I have a giveaway going on right now. So if any ladies wear a size 38I bra, I have a super cute bra that I am raffling off this month. Also, I have a size 20 super cute cotton on black dress that the same style dress that I wore on the Today Show. I have one unopened that I'm also doing in a giveaway. So you want to make sure you just sign up to my email list because I like to give stuff away.
Yes, you are
Connected.
always doing a giveaway. So
Yeah. And so
absolutely.
people,
Um,
yes.
one last question for you. What is one thing that you want to accomplish in 2021? Like, what's going to be your major focus?
Oh gosh. I think my major focus in 2021 is doing more print editorial work for modeling. And so I'm just really focused on, I'm focused on health a lot too, not so much for like, I just need to lose weight, but just health because, I'm getting older. And so I want to make sure that I'm not breathing as heavy when I'm going up a flight of stairs. Health is definitely on there, but I definitely want to really, really push myself even more with my modeling work. So make sure you're following me so y'all can see, the glow up. So I still got a lot of glowing up to do.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I'm just so excited to see where it's going. We're going to have to do like a Women Crush Wednesday reunion part 3 next year, something.
Here for it.
Because I just love to see the growth. And so any final last words, any piece on confidence you would like to share before we head out?
Yes, confidence is a living thing, ever changing. So you'll never get to a point to where you just wake up and you're like, okay, I have confidence. I can face the world, 365 for the rest. No, it's ever changing. You have to work at it. And any idea entertained will bring about the realization of itself. And basically what that means that I said one day I want to be a model, but are you prepared to do the work to become a model? You want to own your own business. You want to leave your 9 to 5. You want to switch industries. Any idea entertained will bring about the realization of itself. So just make sure that when you are asking for things to happen, when they happen, you're preparing yourself to do the work.
Ooh, that was definitely a good word to leave off on. That was good. Guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Mersy, I appreciate you for hopping on here with me and just I'm super excited for again everything that you have going on. The Confidence Project drops this Friday. Anything that I can do to support you, I'm here for you. So I appreciate you for hopping on. And ladies, I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.